Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those that don't know you, would you like to give a little bit of an overview of who you are?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Matt Wilson. I'm a Australian Olympian. I swim breaststroke, the 100 and 200. I competed in those events in Tokyo last year now. I'm a former world record holder in the 200 breaststroke from 2019. Yeah, and I've been on the Australian team. I think I was 18 when I made my first team. So what's that been? 5 years now on the Australian team.
Yeah, I mean, so many achievements in that short amount of time right there. But I think we'll go all the way back to the beginning. How did you get into swimming?
Yeah, so originally I got into swimming because my parents had a backyard pool and they wanted me and my sister to learn how to swim. So I started out at Eva Borries out at Emu Plains, which is in New South Wales near Blue Mountains. I was there for probably a year or so, just doing the basic learn to swim stuff. And then I moved over to a newly built pool out at Springwood, which is probably about 5 minutes from where I live, so very close, very convenient. And I kind of went through like the natural progression of going through bronze, silver, gold squad up there, and yeah, I ended up making a junior team out of that, a junior Australian team out of that program at Springwood. So yeah, I think I was there till I was 14. Then I moved to Olympic Park after that.
Yeah, nice. What was that sort of progression like? And then I guess on that, when did you sort of find yourself at a stage where it's like, hey, I'm kind of good at this. Like I could take this quite far if I want to.
Yeah, so that period where I kind of realized that I could make a career out of this was probably I would have been around 12 or so, where I remember really clearly, I did a massive PB in my 200 IM just at a school carnival. I think it was like regional something. And I was like, crap, that would have like medaled at national age. Like I could actually like keep going from here. And like I kind of have since then. Like it's kind of like the big first jump I had and first realization I had that I could kind of achieve a lot in the sport.
Yeah. And you mentioned there that that was IM and not necessarily breaststroke, which is your main stroke that you sort of compete in now. Has it always, how did you progress from IM to breaststroke? I mean, quite often that they go hand in hand, but what was it like for you?
Yeah, so originally when I was at Springwood, it was a lot of like kind of everyone did the same thing. So I did a lot of butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle. So naturally, I became pretty good at doing IM. And then I actually didn't switch from IM to breaststroke until 2016, just before Olympic trials that year. Because the only reason I switched as well is because we kind of thought that I had the best opportunity to make the Olympic team in that 200 breaststroke event. There wasn't a lot of depth at the time, and no one was really, I don't think anyone was under the qualifying time for the last couple of years. So we were like, let's try and just put all our focus into breaststroke just this year. And then since then, I've kind of just carried on doing breaststroke for the last, how long has it been? 6, 7 years or whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you miss doing IM?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes it is a very fun event. I had a year in 2019 where I went back and did some IM training, and that was actually one of my best years in my career. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe I might go back and do that again. I do miss racing it, the 200 more so than the 400. The 400 wasn't a lot of fun for me, but yeah, it's always a fun event. It's always something good for younger age group swimmers to do is add IM to their race program just to kind of get all that different stroke experience.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I mean, I think you have to be a little bit crazy to enjoy the 400 AM. There's not many
Yeah.
people out there that can say, I enjoy swimming 400 AM.
No, it's not an enjoyable event.
Definitely not. Going back to 2016, leading into those Olympic trials, can you sort of, elaborate on what that experience was like?
Yeah, back in 2016, so long ago now. It feels like a lifetime ago. Um, I had just made a senior national team. So we used to do an event in WA where we would race Japan, USA, and I think it was China. I actually can't remember. Um, I think it was called BHP Billiton Series as well. So that was my first experience on a national team, and that was the start of 2016, so January. And I was kind of full of confidence going through that whole year, like doing fast times, dropping PBs left, right, and center. So yeah, going into that Olympic trials, I was like so full of confidence that I was like going to get this qualifying time, even though I was still 2 seconds off. I think it was 2 seconds off still, and I had 6 months, or actually less, 4 months to drop 2 seconds, and I was just full of confidence that I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a level of confidence going in, I guess, to sort of back yourself and have that self-belief that you're able to do it, because, you know, mindset plays such a crucial role in the physical side of it too.
Yeah, for sure. And in the end, I actually probably went too much in the wrong direction. Like I got too confident, and I got a bit careless in the way I treated myself outside of the pool, I guess, in the terms of my diet and what I would do, like sleep schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah. What would you say then was your headspace? Like what sort of goes through your head before a race?
Now,
Yeah.
uh, now it's just I just go through the race plan before, like I get in. So if I'm doing a 200, I know that I've got to be relaxed on the first 100, build into the third 50, and bring it home the last 50. Um, and I've got full confidence in doing that race plan because I've done that hundreds of times already. Um, so yeah, it is a bit of confidence in the race plan, but I'm not so confident that I'm forgetting to do the essential parts of my stroke or my pacing or my turns and my dives and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've obviously, I can tell now that you've obviously learnt from that back in 2016 to what you do now. And like confidence is key, but don't forget the small stuff.
Yeah, it's the one percenters that are going to be the ones that get you over the line in the end. So I think it's very important to not forget those and continue to work on those.
Yeah. What was it like when you broke the world record? What was that feeling like seeing on the board? I want to know all about it. I can't even begin to imagine what it feels like.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to swim fast. Um, I'd been swimming fast all year that year and just putting up crazy times. To swim a world record though, I I couldn't really imagine. Even as a kid, you're like you want to do it, but you don't really think you will be able to do it in a million years. So to actually achieve something I dreamed of as a kid was huge. And I remember turning around, like it felt like a good race. I turned around, I was like, oh, that could have been a world record. Turned around, saw the big WR, and it was just like bloody hell, I've just it's got a damn world record. That was like crazy. And it was the semi-final, so I kind of quickly had to switch to, all right, I got to do this again tomorrow. But at the time, it was awesome getting out of the pool and like kind of we had a bit of a big walk back to where our massage and physio tables were. So that walk was like everyone was getting around me, like different nations where everyone was congratulating me, and that was a really special moment for me. Something I won't forget anytime soon.
Yeah. How do you compartmentalize coming from such a high to then, okay, I need to, sort of center myself because I've still got more racing to go?
Yeah, that's something my coach really helped me with was kind of getting me back on track. We knew we had bigger goals in mind, and that was to get on the podium and swim the same time, if not better, in the final. So I just got straight in the swim down pool, just did my 600 to a K of just loosen off. And I was straight on the bus and back to the village after that. I think it was pretty late when I got back. It was probably around 12 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, like sleep didn't come easy that night. I was still on a bit of a high, but I did have the morning off. So I went in and just did like a little float through, just kind of get the body moving a bit for the final session of the night. So all in all, we handled that really well. We just kind of went through the process. We had the process before I did the race, and then we just stuck to it afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think something that I think myself included when I say this is, you know, we are constantly striving for a goal, but then once we hit it, we're always looking forward to the next thing that we forget to celebrate what we just have achieved. So, you might have done something like, oh yeah, cool, like that's cool, but now I want this, or I want more, or I could do this better, or I can fix this next time, and it can always be better. But if me 5 years ago could see where I am now, they'd be like, holy crap, like you've achieved all that, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's something I still do today. Like I got to look back in hindsight on a lot of things. So with the world record, like it got broken the next day, and then people were going, "Oh, world record hold." And I'm like, "Oh, it was only for a day," but like that's still a huge thing. I was a world record holder for a day. Not many people can say that they will ever be a world record holder. So that was huge. And even with making the Olympic team, like making the Olympic team last year was huge. I was doing it on one arm in hindsight, but at the time I was like really disappointed with like how I swum, and like I kind of felt like I let down a lot of people. But looking back on it now, it's like, holy crap! Like, how did I even like get on that team? I had no feeling in one arm for 6 months. So yeah, like hindsight, it's a beautiful thing.
It really is. I'd love to talk to you more on the lead into Tokyo, and the lead in for you is a little bit different to, I guess, the average person. So I'd love to hear you talk about that further.
Yeah, so I guess it was probably 2020 where I kind of started feeling some real nervy pain in my arm. I was on a camp in where else? I was in Ballina, and I was kind of like, oh, this is like bothering me a bit. I thought nothing of it at the time, and then it kept getting worse, and the symptoms get a lot stronger the more swimming I did. So essentially, if I was doing like a big breaststroke set, my arm would go completely numb, but I'd get nervy pain in like my elbow and my pinky and stuff like that. So I had thoracic outlet syndrome for the last year and a half, 2 years, or however long. I can't even remember how long it's been. It's been lingering for a few years now. But yeah, so I was kind of swimming and racing on one arm for it was a year or 6 months or so. And then just before we got to Olympic trials, my nan, who was probably my biggest supporter in the world, she passed away from cancer. And that was a couple of weeks before I went to swim in Olympic trials. And I couldn't be with her because, the whole COVID situation. So I couldn't really go to the hospitals to go see her. I was very lucky. I got to call her when she was still healthy enough to know what was going on. And I got to say, like, I love you and stuff. We just had a normal chat. So I love you. And then, yeah, like probably a month or so later, she passed away. So that was real hard. At the time, I kind of just shoved down those emotions of losing someone who's been like such a big part of your life. I just shoved that down. I said, like, I've got a job to do. So I missed the funeral as well, which was hard as well. But at the time, it was something I thought I had to do to have the best shot at making the Olympic team. And then obviously the whole Olympic trials didn't go my way. Like I said, I was swimming on one arm. I just missed the qualifying time in the 200, I think, 0.2 something. And I came fourth in the 100. That was a pretty shocking swim as well. So yeah, I didn't really think at the time that I was going to be going to an Olympics, and then yeah, I got a call from my coach, and he was like, "Hey, where are you? Ron McKeon and I just want to have a chat with you." And my first thought was like, fuck, here we go. We got like this stupid chat about keep your chin up. As always, next Olympics, blah, blah, blah. The last thing I wanted to hear. And they came out and sat me down, and Ron was like, so we been told about your nan and the extenuating circumstances that have kind of happened the last couple of weeks, and because of that, we're going to take you to the Olympics as a relay swimmer, and you can swim the 100 and 200 there as well. And I kind of just I just sat there trying to process what had just happened. And yeah, it was still one of the craziest things that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I'm so sorry for your loss, and COVID has definitely thrown a spanner in the works in terms of being able to say goodbye to loved ones and so many other things. So it is really tough. So
Yeah,
like
very tough.
That's huge on its own, regardless of swimming and everything else. That's massive. But then I think on that, I mean, there's so many things that I could ask you in terms of injury, and then, you know, that sort of overwhelming feeling of being told that you get to go when, you know, you sort of didn't expect it and wasn't mentally preparing for the worst conversation to come, and like, I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Honestly, the last thing.
Yeah. What was it like then hearing that and then being like, this is not where I thought this was going to go?
Yeah. So he said that, and I nearly broke down, and he was like, really, he's like, all right, get your shit together. Just, you got to go get ready. So that kind of just put me on. I think I got in the pool. So I wasn't allowed to tell anyone for a couple of days, so it was like this huge secret I had that I wasn't allowed. I think I told my mum the next day. I got told I was allowed to, so I told her and my girlfriend. But yeah, I was in the pool the next day, and everyone's kind of like, what the hell is he doing swimming? Like, he's he's not going anywhere. Like, he's done. Like, he's done his racing. He's done for the year. Like, why is he swimming? And I think people caught on pretty quick that I was going. But yeah, so I instantly kind of flicked the switch, and there was another job to do in 5 weeks, and that was to swim the best that I possibly could at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, and I'm sure your nan would be super proud that you were able to do that.
Yeah,
even in the
circumstances.
Sure, what was it like, the whole Tokyo Olympic experience, and, you know, the atmosphere, the racing, the village? What was it like?
Yeah, so it's different to a lot of the teams I've been on before. So I remember in like Budapest and Guangzhou, we kind of just went from the village or the hotel straight to the pool, and it was just the swimmers. And it was, I mean, at the pool, there was a lot of like hype and atmosphere there, but like in the village and stuff, it was kind of just like the swimmers doing their own thing, like just relaxing and doing whatever. But at an Olympic Games, the village is huge, and there is a lot of people walking around everywhere, and there's a lot of different energies going on. Like, you've got all these different sports, and they're all different times in the 2-week program. Yeah, so it's just like a bit of controlled chaos in the village, I think is a good way to describe it. And I mean, if you go into the dining hall, and that is just, everyone is there. It was packed full of different athletes. It was so interesting to see all these different athletes kind of working through their routine for the whole, well, we were there for a week, so the whole week we were there. And obviously there was a lot of protocols in place, so we couldn't do too much mingling, but it was pretty cool to get around and see the different athletes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how do you think your racing went then? I mean, you're battling a shoulder injury. How do you think you went?
Um, I think I went as good as I probably could have in the heats of the 100 and then of the 200 as well. My semi-final, I made a bit of a mess of the race plan, but um, yeah, I did the best I could with the circumstances that I had, and that's why I got to keep reminding myself that because at the time you do the race and you're like what's going on? Like I've just turned to shit. Like why am I swimming like this? And then now looking back, and I'm like, okay, this is all the things that have happened, and like it might not have been the best performance I did, but it was the intent was there, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to talk about your injury a little bit more. So it's been
Yeah,
going on for quite some time now. What is it like? I mean, I've had my fair share of injury and it's awful. What was it like for you? Because it takes a mental toll as much as it does physically.
yeah. So not being able to feel your arm halfway through a breaststroke set is just horrible, and then it just ruins my whole set. So I get halfway through a set, and then I have to stop, or I have to start doing kick, or I have to do something else. And it's frustrating. And there's times where you think you've got on top of it, and you think, all right, the hard part's done, and then it just comes back even stronger. So, like, yeah, the whole year and a bit, or however long it's been, it's been very frustrating with the ups and downs of not just pain level, but like emotional toll it takes on me. Um, because all I want to do in the end is swim fast and just like smash myself in the pool. Like that's all I want to do. And when I can't do that, it's really annoying. Um, Luckily, I've started getting better. I started getting some proper treatments. We have a lot of options in front of us to actually combat this properly now. So fingers crossed in a few months this isn't an issue anymore. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it is. It's super tough on those really hard days where you feel like shit about yourself and things just aren't going to plan. How do you pull yourself out of that?
Yeah, it's something I'm still trying to learn to do. At the pool, I can get emotional if things aren't going my way. So I generally get quite frustrated with myself. Um, so it's something I'm still learning to do. Away from the pool, I'm really good at that. I kind of take myself away from swimming, and like there's a lot more in life than just swimming. So that's the big thing I take away when I go from that session, being angry at that session and going home. I'm like, right, swimming that's in the past now. I'm more than just a swimmer. I'm Matthew Wilson. I've got this going on, that going on. It's not just swimming for me. So this isn't the be all and end all of my life. So that's something that I remind myself, and I should probably start doing that more at the pool, but just at the time, like you get so caught up in your emotions, it can be a bit hard. So it's something I need to improve, but it's also something at home that I'm really good at.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that is one of your biggest challenges or setbacks that you've had to overcome so far?
Yeah, for sure. Um, it can be, it's really debilitating. So it's really painful in my shoulder. And I just can't move fast. And yeah, it's just mentally, it's definitely the biggest toll in my career so far. And it's something that I'm really glad I've got such a great support network around me to help me kind of get through that or this issue. So I got full confidence that I will get through this issue because of the support team I've got around me.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. How would you define success and do you think you've achieved it?
Yeah. Um, Success, it's a broad question. Like for me, success is just doing the best you can, quite honestly. And if you have enjoyed the journey and you feel like you've put 100% in to the journey, then that's success for me, honestly. But it varies for everyone, but for me, that's what it is.
Yeah. And that can, like, whilst you can say you've achieved it, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to achieve and build on that.
Yeah, exactly right.
What are your upcoming goals? Like, obviously, Com Games is around the corner now, and it's a quick turnaround because of COVID, and the season over the next few years is gonna go fly by. So, what's next for you?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, like you said, Com Games is I think that's kind of the big one as a nation that we want to do well at. There's world champs as well in Budapest a couple of weeks before Com Games. Um, so hopefully I can do both of those two. And then yeah, kind of just go from there. There's another world champs in 2023, then Paris in 2024. And I mean that will come really quick. We'll have little racing competitions overseas in between, hopefully. I mean, the plan changes every day with COVID and whatnot, but yeah, so Paris is going to come real quick, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you mentioned before that, when you're sort of around 12, that, you thought you could make a career out of swimming. If younger Matt could see where you are now, how do you think he would react?
I think he'd be like, holy shit. Like, this is what you did? Like, my God, I didn't actually think that you'd be like as good or as successful as you are. Like, I was still like in amazement that I've done the things I've done. Like, it's just, yeah, it's really awesome. I think that's the simplest way to put it. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Simply put, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to do 3 questions to sort of finish with. And the first one is, what is something that you're most proud of about yourself?
I'm very proud about my perseverance. I've gone through a lot in my, it's really like a quite short career, with missing the Olympic team in 2016 by, I think it was point 0.2. And then coming back, making national team, and then just last year I missed a qualifying time, and I came back and I was able to swim in Olympic Games. So yeah, my perseverance through all the hardships I've gone through, that's something I'm proud of.
Yeah, absolutely something you should be proud of. Now I'm going to throw a random question in here. So feel free to take your time to think about this answer. Do you have an embarrassing or funny story related to swimming?
Oh, actually, there was one recently. Just the one that comes straight on the top of my head when I think embarrassing. It was just in a training session. So just out at Olympic Park, and we had a quality set. So I put a suit on. And I was kind of getting rushed. So I hadn't got my suit up properly. And when it's not up properly, it kind of like gets a bit tight and the stretch isn't as good. And Brad was in the water and we're pushing off at the same time. And I've gone to push off, pull my leg up, and the suit had just split the whole way around, and it was not hiding anything. So I had everything. I was essentially naked. Brad's gone under the water and he's just copped an eyeful. And I've finished off the 50 and he's kind of touched and he's just like lost it, just laughing. And he says to this day, he's just like, you completely ruined my quality set by having your suit split. I just couldn't stop laughing for the whole half an hour. So yeah, that wasn't one of my finest moments. I had to put a pair of togs over the top because I couldn't just take my suit off because we were halfway through it. We started the quality set. So I just put some togs on real quick and kept going, looking like an idiot. Probably one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I have split my race bathers. Like, I was standing behind the blocks and they'd split, like, very, not quite to the extent that yours had, but like in the crutch. And I was like, I have to swim breaststroke. This is going to be so bad when I get out.
That's one of my greatest fears is that happening when I bend over to get ready for a dive, is it just splits out the back. I don't want to ever experience that. My experience was just with my training group, so I could kind of just, I can live with that, but in public that would be, oh no. No.
Oh, love it. What is your favorite quote and or the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Uh, the advice I got given, it was when I made the first national team in 2017, and it's really simple advice. But Christian Springer, one of my idols, came over to me because he was commentating. I think he came over and he kind of just like pat me on the shoulder and said, "Mate, you done it. Enjoy the experience." And that's kind of what I've done ever since, was just enjoy every single moment that like I've been on a national team or been on an event camp or training camp or whatever. I've just enjoyed it. Yeah. And that was honestly such a good bit of advice. So simple though, but like so good.
Yeah. Sometimes the simplest advice is the best advice.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you have any tips or advice for those that are listening or anyone that's sort of new in sport or even been around in the sport for a while? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would just say that sports kind of like a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. Some days you're going to feel like you're on top of the world, and some days you're going to feel like absolute shit. But it's about kind of pushing through those low dips, get through to the highs, and it really makes it all worth it in the end. So I think that's the best bit of advice I can give, which is kind of persevere through the lows, and the highs will taste so much sweeter.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, life can be like a roller coaster and sports no different. I think the highs are super high and the lows can be extremely low.
100%. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story and being so open and vulnerable and everything that you've experienced. I'm sure that there's many people out there listening that will benefit from our conversation.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to talk about this stuff.
That's awesome.